That was the private class. Now we're on to the public one. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Giridharidhari Gopi Janna Vallabha Giridharidhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarantana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarantana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarantana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today, by Srila Prabhupada's blessings, we are reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 4. We're doing 2 verses today, 14 and 15, because 14 has no purport, and 15 does. It's showing on the screen, right? Okay. So this is first 14. We'll do it for 14, then we'll do the same thing for 15, then we'll try to say something, or read the purport and speak something. Etan Maharaja Taverito Maya Krishna Nubhavo Gajaraja Mokshanam Swargyang Yashashyang Kali Kama Shashpaham Duswapna Nashang Kuruvarya Shrinvatam Etan Maharaja Taverito Maya Krishna Nubhavo Gajaraja Mokshanam Swargyang Yashashyang Kalikama Shashvaham Duswapna Nashang Kuruvarya Shrinvatam So we have to try. Etan Maharaja Taverito Maya Krishna Nubhavo Gajaraja Mokshanam Swargyang Yashashyang Kalikama Shashvatam Vishwapna Nashang Kuruvarya Shrinvatam Etan Maharaja Taverito Maya Krishna Nubhavo Gajaraja Mokshanam Swargyang Yashashyang Kalikama Shashvaham Dushvashvapna Nashang Kuruvarya Shrinvatam So word for word synonyms. Etat, this. Maharaja, O King Parikshit. Tava, unto you. Iritaha, described. Maya, by me. Krishna Anubhavaha, the unlimited potency of Lord Krishna, by which he can deliver a devotee. Gajaraja Mokshanam, delivering the king of the elephants. Swargyam, giving elevation to higher planetary systems. Yashasham, increasing one's reputation as a devotee. Kali Kamasha Apaham, diminishing the contamination of the Kali Yuga. Duswapnanasham, counteracting the causes of bad dreams. Guru Varya, O best among the Kurus, Srinvatam, of persons who hear this narration. Translation. My dear King Parikshit, I have now described the wonderful power of Krishna as displayed when the Lord delivered the king of the elephants. O best of the Kuru dynasty, those who hear this narration become fit to be promoted to the higher planetary systems. Simply because of hearing this narration, they gain a reputation as devotees. They are unaffected by the contamination of Kali Yuga, and they never see bad dreams. Now repeat after me. My dear King Parikshit, I have now described the wonderful power of Krishna as displayed when the Lord delivered the king of the elephants. O best of the Kuru dynasty, those who hear this narration become fit to be promoted to the higher planetary systems. Simply because of hearing this narration, they gain a reputation as devotees. They are unaffected by the contamination of the Kali Yuga, and they never see bad dreams. Wow. Just simply by hearing this narration. Okay, and then we'll go into verse 15, because there's no purport with this one. Verse 15. Yatanu kirtai anje touch. Shreyas kama dvijatayaha. Shuchaya pratur uttaya. Duswapnad upashantaye. Yatanu kirtayante touch. Shreyas kama dvijatayaha. Shuchaya pratar uttaya. Duswapnadyu pashantaye. Itanu kirtayantye touch. Shreyas kama dvijatayaha. Shuchaya pratar uttaya. Duswapnadyu pashantaye. Yatanu kirtayante touch. Shreyas kama dvijatayaha. Shuchaya pratar uttaya. Duswapnadyu pashantaye. Yatanu kirtayanti chach Shreyas kama vijatayaha Utaya Duswapnanya Upashantaye. Word for word synonyms. Yata, without deviation. Anukirtayanti, they chant. Etat, this narration of the deliverance of Gajendra. Shreya Kamaha, persons who desire their own auspiciousness. Dvijatayaha, the twice born, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. Suchayaha, especially the Brahmanas, who are always clean. Prataha, in the morning. Uttaya, after getting up from sleep. Duswapna adi, beginning with sleeping badly at night. Upashantaye, to counteract all troublesome positions. Translation. Therefore, after getting up from bed in the morning, those who desire their own welfare, especially the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and in particular the Brahmana Vaishnavas, should chant this narration as it is without deviation to counteract the troubles of bad dreams. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Every verse in the Vedic literature, especially in the Srimad-bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, is a Vedic mantra. Here, the words Yatanu Kirtayanti are used to recommend that this literature be presented as it is. Unscrupulous persons, however, deviate from the actual narration and interpret the text in their own way with grammatical jugglery. Such deviations are to be avoided. This is a Vedic injunction supported by Shukadev Goswami, one of the Mahajanas, or authorities. He says, Yatanu Kirtayanti. One should recite the mantra as it is, without deviation, for then one will be eligible to rise to the platform of all good fortune. Shukadev Goswami especially recommends that those who are Brahmanas, Suchayaha, recite all these mantras after rising from bed in the morning. So this is like a regular thing.
And these older mantras about the Gajendra?
Yeah. Yes, the verses. Because of sinful activities, at night we have bad dreams, which are very troublesome. So nightmares, if we have them, is because of past bad activities. Indeed, Maharaj Yudhisthira was obliged to see hell because of a slight deviation from devotional service to the Lord. Therefore, dushwapna, bad dreams, occur because of sinful activities. A devotee sometimes accepts a sinful person, accepts a sinful person as his disciple. And to counteract the sinful reactions he accepts from the disciple, he has to see a bad dream. Nonetheless, the spiritual master is so kind that in spite of having bad dreams due to the sinful disciple, he accepts this troublesome business for the deliverance of the victims of Kali Yuga. After initiation, therefore, a disciple should be extremely careful not to commit again any sinful act that might cause difficulties for himself and the spiritual master. Before the deity, before the fire, before the spiritual master, and before the Vaishnavas, the honest disciple promises to refrain from all sinful activity. Therefore, he must not again commit sinful acts and thus create a troublesome situation. Om Ajnana Timiranda Shaganajana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Other good points here. So, okay, we'll start off with the end of the purport. So, yes, that's actually a fact. Spiritual master accepts disciples and initiates the disciples, and as a part of that initiation, the disciple is agreeing, promising in front of Krishna, in front of the fire, because we do fire sacrifice, in front of the spiritual master, in front of all of the others who are witnessing that I will, from this point day forward, I will chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra, and I will not engage in those 4 bad activities: eating meat, fish, or eggs, any kind of intoxication, gambling, and what? Illicit sex. That's the 4th one. So he or she is making this promise, and on the basis of that, the spiritual master is taking away. We were talking yesterday. Takes away all the sinful, the karma from all of the previous sinful activities. But if the disciple deviates after the initiation, then the spiritual master and the disciple both experience some problem. So, for the sake of the spiritual master, even if the disciple says, "I don't care about myself," but you're affecting the spiritual master too, which is why we see that devotees who are gurus who accept a lot of disciples and then they become sick and so many problems. It's partly or largely because of the ongoing sinful activities of those who promise to give them up. And that's actually what's happening. Srila Prabhupada said that about himself too. He's telling some of his leaders one time, you know why I'm sick? I'm because of my disciples who are not serious about spiritual life. He says it's just a basic principle to be a gentleman, lady, gentleman. His word for gentleman. That you make a promise that you keep the promise, right? You make the promise at the time of initiation that I'm going to follow these principles. I will do what I'm supposed to do, and I will not do what I'm supposed to not do. And if you deviate from that, then you're not even a gentleman. It's just even materially, it's a gentleman business. Not going to lie and say one thing and then do something different. but so Srila Prabhupada, and then he also said, if the disciple doesn't go back to Godhead, if they get entangled and have to keep coming back to the material world, says yes. If you don't go back to Godhead, I have to come back again to come and try to save you. So Srila Prabhupada can be and comes here, preaches, goes back with Krishna, and then if so many disciples are not serious, then in time he will come back again, and he will try again another lifetime. So I mean, it goes on like that. But he says, yes, I will do this, but do not take advantage of it. Better you become serious now and go back to the spiritual world, like that. This is the principle. And then sometimes one form of trouble that spiritual master may experience is getting bad dreams, because the sinful activities of the disciple, or continued sinful activities of the disciple, may cause some kind of problem. One form of those problems sometimes is bad dreams. Just like we may have bad dreams because of some sins that are from our past lives or this life, like that, and it comes back and we dream about it, or makes us have unpleasant dreams. We don't sleep well because we have crazy dreams. So the same thing can happen to the spiritual master, but not because of his activities, but because of the activities of the disciple. So we should, when we make that promise that we have a time of initiation, we need to keep that promise. Unfortunately, many don't. Srila Prabhupada even said, he says, after I leave this world, he says, 50% of all my disciples will also, they'll leave. I mean, they'll go away. They'll give up Krishna consciousness, not leave the world. They'll leave Krishna consciousness. And it seems like it was more than that. But many, and Krishna says, out of many, out of many thousands of men, one may even endeavor for perfection, and of those who even endeavor for perfection, only one out of many who endeavor, only one knows me in truth. So it's a struggle. Krishna consciousness is a struggle. It's not as easy. You want to, like Srila Prabhupada gave the example in Gainesville, I think, which when I visited just yesterday, in a TV interview, why do not more people take up the path of Krishna consciousness? Because if you have diamonds, if you're selling diamonds, not everyone's qualified to buy. So although Krishna consciousness is available and is ready for it, it's there for anyone. It's not, now anyone is rejected from the opportunity to become Krishna conscious, but not everyone is at this time, in this lifetime, at this moment in this lifetime, is ready to take it seriously. Many start the path of Krishna consciousness, and after some time say, too much for me. I'm going to give this up. I'm going to give up this spiritual life. I can be more happy outside of this way of life. So they think like that. Of course, they're not going to be more happy, but the mind says like that. So out of many who have many people. Jai Shishi Gaurani, Jai Shishi Radha Vrija Vihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Lord Nishigane, Prahlad Maharaj, Ki Jai. So out of many people, hardly one is endeavors for perfection. Perfection in that verse means it's at least something transcendental, something. In general, the 99.9% of the people in general in the world are just looking for material enjoyment, just trying to enjoy the material world. That's just the way it is. We're here because of that tendency. And out of a very, very small percentage will actually try to do something, achieve some kind of perfection. Perfection means something beyond just trying to enjoy sense gratification. Like jhana yoga. Maybe you're saying the jhani's already concluded the material world, material sense gratification, it is bad. There's no chance of becoming happy through material enjoyment. They've already concluded that. So they're on a higher level. They're not on the highest level, but they're on a higher level than the gross materialist. So that's considered a kind of perfection that they're endeavoring for. And of those who have endeavored for perfection, few take up the path of Krishna consciousness or devotional service to the Lord. And of those who do take up the path, just taking it one step further, within that particular lifetime, many don't stay with it for whatever reason. There can be many reasons. Bad association. That's why the Vedas say, Nectar of Instruction, another good book. Nectar of Instruction, Achahara Parasya Pujalpam Niyamagraha Jana Sangas Shoyam Cham Shadbir Bhaktir Vinashati. And there are certain activities, 6 activities, that if done will be unfavorable for advancing in spiritual life. And one of those is associating with non-devotees. Another is or world I think Achahara. Oh, collecting more than necessary, or eating more than necessary. And collecting more than necessary means also becoming too absorbed in material knowledge about so many things. That's considered in the same category. So when you get too much, then that's not favorable. We get bad association, that is, or associating with materialistic people, then that is also unfavorable for advancing in spiritual life. So the various ways we become entangled in these things, and then it can affect, it will affect, if we become too entangled, it affects our becoming Krishna conscious. So. And then it is very important that we get this knowledge also from the right source. So the right source means it's come down through the disciplic succession. As Srila Prabhupada was asked when he was writing his Bhagavad Gita as it is, his translations and commentaries, purports of Bhagavad Gita. One lady asked him, what is the need for doing another English translation of the Bhagavad Gita? Because there are, Srila Prabhupada said, in English at that time, there were at least 600 translations. I never heard about Bhagavad Gita at all until I heard about Srila Prabhupada. So I've never looked at any other one. But, there were he said there were 600 English translations, what to speak of other languages, of Bhagavad Gita before that time. But Srila Prabhupada says that none of them, or hardly any of them, hardly one, is actually presenting Krishna's words as they are. Because people like to, the people who may know some Sanskrit language, because it's originally written in Sanskrit, they like to show that I'm a great scholar and I can translate this, and I'm going to give this is my interpretation. Of course, his interpretation has to be different than somebody else's, because otherwise you're plagiarizing. Because I'm writing and I'm writing something down, but I have to write something different than someone else wrote. But so this is my opinion, but it's as his opinion. But if someone wants to become become actually engaged in devotional service, one wants to get the perfection of what Bhagavad Gita is teaching, then you have to get it from the right source, because all these other Bhagavad Gitas, they're not giving Krishna's instructions as they are. They give, just like the 5 Pandavas are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, Yudhisthira, Bhima, and the Kula Sahadev, 5 Pandava brothers. They're mentioned. They're real people. But someone will look at it and say, oh, these 5 Pandavas are referring to the 5 senses. Somehow they conclude like that. Ability to hear, see, taste, and so on. But it has nothing to do with that. They're actually historically real people. And then Krishna says, talking about me and my, these are my words, this is my instruction. And you have some other idea of Krishna is just some, that the perfection is, or the highest spiritual thing is impersonal, and Krishna is just like out there in front. But whose the perfection is just is impersonal. But that's not what Krishna says. Krishna says that I am the source of the impersonal Brahman. It is. It's his like the effulgence from his body. If you see Krishna, we can actually see Krishna in his original form. His bodily effulgence is very bright. Even ordinary people, sometimes you look at someone and they say, "Wow, you really look effulgent today." You see something. But what to speak of Krishna? His bodily, the whole spiritual world is lit up because of Krishna's the effulgence, the light, coming from his transcendental body, like that. So anyway, people misinterpret the Bhagavad Gita. They misinterpret the Srimad-bhagavatam. They misinterpret so many things, and to try to give their own interpretation. So that's why Srila Prabhupada, he didn't call his commentaries, he didn't call them commentaries. Purport actually means the actual meaning. And Bhagavad Gita, he called it Bhagavad Gita as it is, because it is. It is actually Bhagavad Gita as it is. And if you follow that Bhagavad Gita as it is, if you actually follow it, then the result will be that you'll become Krishna conscious. If you follow those other 600 translations of Bhagavad Gita, I'm not sure what will happen to you, but you won't become Krishna conscious. Not based on those, because the knowledge is not being handed down and received through the disciplic succession. Disciplic succession, parampara, it's called in Sanskrit, means that it starts with Krishna, means all Vedic knowledge comes from Krishna. So all knowledge comes from Krishna, and he speaks it to his qualified disciples, or to someone qualified who also speaks it guru to disciple, guru to disciple, guru to disciple, like that. And his knowledge is handed down. And it has to be handed down from one acharya to the next. And what are the three qualifications of an acharya? I've brought this up several times in the classes. Acharya. Acharya has to receive knowledge through the parampara. He has to be teaching that knowledge by his, speaking that knowledge with the same knowledge, and he has to be, by his personal life, personal example, he has to be demonstrating how to practice that knowledge. So he's received the right knowledge, he's speaking the right knowledge, and he's living he's living according to that right knowledge. That's acharya. So for the knowledge to be handed down perfectly, which we think, Arjuna is speaking, hearing this knowledge 5,000 Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, but so for it to be handed down to the present time and be intact, I mean, and you have to have one acharya to the next who's handing it down. It has to be one acharya to the next. Just like when I was a kid, we used to play this game. I don't know what the game was called, but you get 10 people lined up, 10 kids lined up, and someone says something to one in the ear, and then they go, whatever they heard, or whatever they understood, they say it to the next, who said it to the next, who said it to the next. By the 10th one, it was completely different. So obviously, if knowledge, this knowledge was handed down like that, and then after thousands of years, even after a few minutes, that knowledge would be completely mixed up. So therefore, parampara means you have one acharya followed by another acharya, which means they're hearing the knowledge perfectly. They're repeating the knowledge as it is, and they're demonstrating by their life how that knowledge should be implemented, how you live according to that knowledge. Like we say, there's two kinds of Bhagavats. What are the two Bhagavats? Bhagavats. No? Bhagavat, Srimad-bhagavatam, and the person Bhagavat. Person Bhagavat means the one who is living according to the conclusions of the Srimad-bhagavatam. So Srila Prabhupada was such a person. All the things that we're reading about how things should be done based on the Srimad-bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada was living that, demonstrating that by his own Krishna conscious life. Because the conclusion of Srimad-bhagavatam is developing pure love of Krishna. So one follows the book Bhagavat, and they gradually become, if they're properly following, then they will become a person Bhagavat. And in Srimad Bhagavatam also says, what's the verse? Nashta prayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat uttama shloki bhakti bhavati nashtaki. It says that this is in the first canto of Srimad-bhagavatam. It says, by regular attendance in classes on the Srimad-bhagavatam, that's why we're here, and by rendering service to the pure devotees, one can becomes free from all the misgivings in the heart, means the material desires. They are taken away by that process, by hearing in the right mood, hearing the Srimad-bhagavatam, and by serving the person Bhagavat or the pure devotee. Then all misgivings in the heart are taken away. In that way, we become fully Krishna conscious, like that. So that's the principle. And Srila Prabhupada even comments that one may think that, how is this possible? Just by reading this book and doing some service for some particular person, and therefore, based on that, you become Krishna conscious. But it's a fact. Srila Prabhupada says you may not understand it, but it actually is a fact. And this, of course, is how ISKCON is set up. Daily classes in Srimad-bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. We will get back to our evening Bhagavad Gita classes. We used to have them every day, every night, right after the evening arati. But the daily classes in the Srimad-bhagavatam, we should also have classes in the Bhagavad Gita, and by rendering service to the pure devotee. Pure devotee means, just like Srila Prabhupada, we accept as pure devotee of Krishna because his life is fully surrendered to the mission of Krishna or Lord Chaitanya. So, and how do you serve Srila Prabhupada? Because he's not, back 50 so many years ago, you can say, well, maybe you get a chance, maybe Srila Prabhupada visit your temple, or maybe you get to do something, but that's not very efficient as far as service goes, because Srila Prabhupada was always traveling. So serving Srila Prabhupada means there's two ways. There's one is the Vani, and the other is Vapu. Vani, Vapu. What are they? No? I'm going to have two students here. Vapu means personally, physically doing something for the person. So, just like we serve Srila Prabhupada, even in his Murti form, we are offering Guru Puja, like that, or on the altar we offer flower garland. Or Srila Prabhupada, if he's physically present, especially Vapu refers to it, physically present. So then someone might have been cooking for Srila Prabhupada during that time, or typing his dictated translations, or like that. Various other kinds of personal services, making up his bed, driving him somewhere. This is Vapu. And then there's Vani. Vani means following the instructions. Namaste Saraswati Devi. We say in Srila Prabhupada's prayer, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani. Gauravani means the instructions of Lord Chaitanya, but it's the same principle. The Guru also gives instructions on behalf of Lord Chaitanya. So following the instructions, and of the two kinds of service and two kinds of association, which is the most important?
Association with the devotees?
No, most important is serving by following the instructions, because both are important, but most important is by following the instructions. And the reason is, as far as spiritual master goes, even when Srila Prabhupada was physically present in this world, he was unless you happen to be his personal servant, traveling secretary like that. You're with him all the time. Uh, Most of us didn't see him. You'd have to go here and go here and go here to try to have a chance to physically be with Srila Prabhupada. So that, and of course now Srila Prabhupada was not physically present for so many years. So that Vapu type of association is not really there. But the Vani association, Srila Prabhupada said, is much more important. Both are important. You take advantage of Vapu when you have it. But when the spiritual master is not with you physically, when he's not with you physically, you still follow his instructions. You still chant your rounds. You still follow the principles. You still do whatever your service is that you're doing in ISKCON for Srila Prabhupada, or for the Guru, your pujari, or you're helping in the kitchen, or you're doing some repairs and things like that around the temple. This is all part of the instructions because we were supposed to maintain Krishna's temple and so on like that. So the Vani aspect is most important because that is eternal. We never, and Srila Prabhupada said about himself, he had his spiritual master. His spiritual master left, and he criticized actually one godbrother who, after 30, 40 years after their spiritual master passed away, he wrote a book that said, this devotee said, because I was so much feeling separation from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, there's Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. I was feeling separation from him that because that heavy lamentation, it took me 35 years to finally be able to write something, to do some preaching. And Srila Prabhupada criticized that. Srila Prabhupada says, I've never felt separate from my spiritual master because I've always followed his instructions. See? So following the instructions is the most important. You do that when the spiritual master is present, and you do it when you're not physically with him, like that. Maybe one more point, and then I'll open the questions. We read here hearing. We were talking about hearing. Hearing has a special meaning in devotional service. I don't remember the Shravanam. So hearing doesn't just mean that you hear, that it goes into the ear. I mean, that's a part of the process. Hearing, in terms of Krishna conscious instructions and Krishna conscious knowledge, hearing means that it goes in. We say anytime that you talk to someone and they're not listening, right? So you say it goes in here and it goes out here. In one ear, out the other ear, and you didn't get anything. So hearing actually doesn't just mean that you're hearing it. Hearing means that you are following it. Actual hearing. So if the spiritual master gives some instruction, you bring me a glass of water. Sir Prabhupada's example. You bring me a glass of water. If you heard that instruction, then you decide, oh, milk is so much nicer than water. I'm going to bring my spiritual master milk. He asked for water, but I'm going to bring him milk. Then you didn't actually hear. You can repeat what he said, but you're not acting on what he said. So same thing. That's a simple example, but we do so many things in practicing Krishna consciousness, and we are hearing. If we are actually hearing the instructions, then it means we are acting on those instructions. If we're not acting on it, then we're not really hearing it in the proper sense. Shravanam. Anyway, we can keep going on and on, but the time is as it is. So, are there any questions?
Yes. Why is so much emphasis placed on chanting as many rounds as possible?
As many rounds as possible?
Well, okay. 16.
16. Because each acharya, we chant 16 rounds minimum. This is the beginning. 16 rounds minimum in ISKCON, because our acharya, who is founder acharya, who is Srila Prabhupada, he established that amount. He originally asked the devotees to chant 64, or in the very beginning. This is before my time. He was saying, oh, it should be 64, because his spiritual master was telling his disciples like that. But he could see that, Srila Prabhupada could see that it's not going to happen, not in the West. Maybe in India it happens, but his disciples, who were at the beginning, were mostly from hippie backgrounds like that. It was no way it was going to chant 64 rounds a day every day. Then he said, okay, we'll try 32, and it said, no, it's not possible. Thank you. And they said, nobody could take it. So he reduced one more time to 16, and he says, no less than that. It's not going to happen. You can't reduce that. And no one in the future can change this either. It's like part of, one of those things that Srila Prabhupada established, minimum 16. But the general principle is that we have to chant some minimum amount of Hare Krishna on our beads. That's the general principle. It's a general principle, because we just say chant Hare Krishna. We just say chant Hare Krishna, and once in a while when you feel in the mood, you probably wouldn't be chanting much. And the chanting is very, very important. So to make sure that those of us who don't have a great taste for chanting, that we will chant something regular, the acharyas, like Srila Prabhupada, the founder acharya, they will establish, here is the minimum. So this was his 16 rounds in our case, is what he established. Someone else somewhere might say more, someone else somewhere maybe say 5 rounds, and it's okay. But we're in ISKCON, and that's what Srila Prabhupada considered to be quite doable and practical, and he established that as a standard for ISKCON. Even as Kali Yuga gets more and more, we are not. If we're chanting and we're following regular principles, that we don't have to become degraded by the Kali Yuga, and which means we'll still be able to chant the amount of rounds the Srila Prabhupada said to chant.
And it could be done, for example, you can break, right? You can't do it all in one time.
You can, and Srila Prabhupada did that himself, because he was telling us to chant 16 rounds. He also chanted. He didn't just give instructions. So sometimes he would chant after breakfast. He would chant different times. Srila Prabhupada chanted before he came to America in the first place. I'm not sure how many rounds he chanted, but he would chant. He said he would chant some in the morning, early morning, some before lunchtime, and some in the evening or later in the day. He broke it up, so that's okay. It doesn't have to all be at once. Although generally, morning hours is best to concentrate. I know, because I'm forced sometimes to chant a lot of rounds at night, and it is very difficult now. So the morning is the best. If you have this morning hours, then you can chant with a better concentration. It's definitely easier.
And in this section, so you emphasizes that, especially the Brahmana Vaishnavas, how different are they from the Jain Brahmanas?
Oh, Brahmana is actually a material position, mode of goodness, basically. Brahmana Vaishnava means Brahmana and also a devotee of Krishna. So, therefore, after getting up from bed in the morning, those who desire their own welfare, especially the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and in particular the Brahmana Vaishnavas, that's us, should chant this narration as it is without deviation to counteract the troubles of bad dreams. So, yeah, we're recommending that we who are practicing Krishna consciousness should also chant this narration. Of course, if we're chanting so many rounds and everything, maybe it's not as necessary, but that's the way the verse is written here. So, yes, it's definitely very beneficial if we can do it.
So Vaishnava itself means it's devotee of Krishna.
Yes. So we here are on the path of Krishna consciousness. We're devotees. We're whatever level we're on. We start off with third class level, then we go to second, and then we go to first. First is like Srila Prabhupada. Third class level means we're just trying to get a little bit of trying to come to the spiritual platform, basically. If we're able to follow the principles and chant, regular japa, and we feel determined that I'm going to, this is what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. I'm going to be that's second class devotee already. So, this is referring to Vaishnava means one to basically at least second class devotee. And we want to be on at least the second class platform, because if we're not on the second class platform minimum, then we will, it's a very shaky position. If we're not even able to follow the principles, we're not able to keep the basic principles, then it'd be very hard to stay, in Krishna consciousness. So second class means we're chanting our rounds, we're following the principles, we're convinced that this is the best thing I can do with my life. Even if we have to work outside, we have to do other things, but this is the most important thing in my life. We're convinced like that. That's second class platform. It basically has to do with faith. So if I'm completely convinced that this is the best thing I can do with my life, and my life will be perfect if I can become Krishna conscious, that's second class platform.
Why, also in the same verse, why doesn't list the case of Shudras? So it mentions those who desire their own welfare, especially the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, in particular Brahmana Vaishnavas.
Oh, well, the previous verse mentioned, I think, about twice born being Brahman initiation, second initiation. In Vedic culture, there's the Shudras didn't get that kind of initiation.
So only those others?
Yeah, especially those who are higher in society. So if you're a Brahmana, if you're a Kshatriya, administrative person, if you're a Vaishya, means you're, or business person, or cow. In Vedic times, that maybe protecting the cows, also protecting cows. No, not cowboy, or or animal slaughter, but you were protecting cows. So those classes could get a second initiation that would help them. And Shudras, which were actually the bigger part of the society, didn't get any Brahmin type initiation. And they didn't have hardly to follow anything they had to follow, except that if they wanted to live, if a man and woman wanted to live together, they had marriage. They had marriage. But all the other rules and regulations pretty much didn't apply to them. And they were meant for higher people. Like that. That was Vedic culture. Huh? And we have a question here. How do we protect our Krishna consciousness when we have to associate with non-devotee family? If our if that means like relatives and parents and like that, I assume. Well, it's a question of what association we're talking about. So as long as we can chant Hare Krishna, chant our rounds, follow the regulative principles like that, so on, then we're protected. The dangerous type of association is when we start taking on the mentality of those bad mentality of those who we associate with. Just like if you're around, say a person who's very rich and who has a lot of material facility and who's uses his time and energy for a lot of sense gratification. It's one thing to see them, it's another thing to are you just around them, or are you contemplating their how nice it would be? Oh, I wish I just had a big fancy car like that person. Maybe I should be doing something else besides Krishna consciousness. That kind of association would be very bad. But if our life is very dedicated to becoming Krishna conscious, we're chanting around, we're following the principles, we're studying these books, we're hearing the Srimad-bhagavatam Class like that regularly, and if we're fixed in that goal, then the little association that we may have with other family members who may not be devotees, it won't really affect us. It may not be comfortable, but it won't hurt our Krishna consciousness. Hope that answers the question. Yes. Okay. So if there's no other questions, comments, then we'll end here for today. Tomorrow is Sunday. Yes, so tomorrow we'll read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.